Good evening. This is the Town of Eastchester Planning Board meeting of May 25th, 2023. If everyone would rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we're just going to take attendance here. Mr. Phil Memisak?
Present.
Mr. Anthony Giacobbe?
Present.
Jim Bonanno's here. Don't think Mr. Mark Cunningham is here. And Mr. Louis Campana is on the way, but we can start without him. He's about 15 minutes out, but we'd rather just get started. He'll jump in when he gets here. Let's see. So, Phil, you said that you haven't looked at any minutes, so I don't think we're going to approve anything.
No, we're not.
So we have no minutes to review or to approve right now. Let's see, let me just run through what applications we're talking about tonight. The ones that we are hearing are 2314, Lululemon, 670 White Plains Road, Pottery Barn, also 670 White Plains Road, Bout Boxing on Garth Road, and Mickey Spillane's 23-19, 429 White Plains Road.
It's a big night for White Plains Road, 3 out of 4.
There's a lot going on there, but what we're missing tonight is the Tuckahoe Avenue subdivision, which is 2117, and the 2302-203 Beach Street application for the subdivision. So if you're here to listen to those, I hate to disappoint you, but we're not talking about them tonight. You could stick around for the other applications. That being said, we're going to get started. So the first application is 23-14, Lululemon, 670 White Plains Road.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Zawena Marshall. I'm from KPA, representing Lululemon. So at the proposed storefront for Vernon Hills Shopping Center, We are basically keeping the existing storefront mullions, painting them black. We are keeping the existing glazing for the storefront. The adjacent storefront, let me actually, it's easier if I show you. So this is the existing storefront. Right here, which is currently part of New York Sports Club, this whole space will be redemised, so we'll be taking a portion of this where this door is, this existing door, and our plan here is to remove the door and infill it so it'll be a solid wall. The storefront, we will remove what you see here. The awnings will be removed, and we will refinish the storefront with a concrete lime plaster.
I'm going to make a statement for the record that Louis Campana has joined us.
Present.
Sorry about that. Well, I'll give you time to settle in.
Yeah. We were waiting for Louis, right?
Yeah, we knew that.
The correct answer is yes.
So what we plan on doing is using a concrete lime plaster on the exterior here. We'll also be replacing the base tile, so we'll have a kind of a gray, light gray base tile, as you can see, where the concrete plaster is and where the newly painted black mullions are. They're existing mullions, but we're going to be painting them black. We'll have like a darker gray tile, almost black, and new storefront doors as well. All signage and new awnings will be done by a different vendor, so they will also present their drawings. We decided to go with 3/8 inch reveals along the storefront. The concrete plaster has a nice kind of aggregate. You can take a look and see. It kind of adds texture to the storefront. Let's see. We will also have two black sconce lights on either side of the new entry doors. And that's pretty much it.
That's everything? That's all. Thank you for
Oh.
presenting that.
Also, I gave you two sheets. One has examples of the text and finish, and the other is sort of an alternate design for the awning, just to show you what that would look like, with an awning that wraps around completely.
Did you say there was an alternate design for the awning somewhere here?
It's so the rendering that the two sheets. Oh,
Yeah. I'm not really
sheets.
seeing
I'm sorry.
I'm not seeing another awning on the second sheet.
No, on the rendering that I
Rendering?
Yes, the one image.
This one?
Yes, that first sheet.
This one here?
Right.
So that one wraps around the corner, and this one just has one here and.
Oh, these
one
are
on the
different. Oh, yeah, I see that.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
I like. I have no preference. So which one are we reviewing? This
sorry?
one or that one?
Well, that's an alternate design. This is what they ultimately want to go with.
Okay, so that's the one we're
They want the
reviewing.
two awnings as opposed to the wraparound awning.
Yeah.
That's the preference?
Well, they would rather this right now, and they're considering that, but they're still unsure. So this is mainly what they want to go with.
Yeah, I think the awning separated is preferred. Yeah, I like that. It defines the windows around the corner. You know, it's not just continuous. It's nice that it breaks.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine with that, too.
Yeah.
Hey, there is something in the rendering and that I can't quite make out. At the 1, 2, 3 boxes up, there seems to be like a setback on the facade at the top. Is that, or that's just a,
Oh, this here?
run your finger down, right, that first line?
This line?
No, the horizontal
Oh, right
line.
here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's existing. That's the way the storefront
Oh, it
currently
has that
looks.
recess.
It's a
Got
slight
it.
recess?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
so you're not creating that, that's already there.
Right.
You're just refinishing it in this finish.
Yes.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So their typical storefronts are black, I take it, and that's why we're making everything black, right? The mullions are going to be black and everything else,
Yes.
because all these show the black.
Yes.
All right, can't change that.
Yeah, do you know where, by the way, some of the illustrations on this second page, can you tell me where these are located? Are they throughout the country
One
kind of
is
thing, or-
in Martha's Vineyard, and the other one, I'm not quite sure. I don't remember offhand.
Okay, so this is sort of a national
Yes.
branding,
Yes.
correct? Yeah. And I understand that this application came before the Architectural Review Board and, you know, can you just summarize for me what comments they had?
Yes. They actually didn't have any comments. They had no issue with the storefront. The only thing that they were curious about, which we could not answer for them, was what the landlord planned on doing on this side, where we're taking over part of that existing space for the adjacent tenant. And we've asked them, but we don't know what they plan on doing with that space.
So where is that little strip that's you've been taking from New York Sports? Is it
So
that,
it's
it's
just
that
the-
panel?
It's just right here.
Got it.
There's a door currently there, and we're just removing the door and infilling it so it's solid wall.
And you're taking over, is there a demising space behind that
We're-
also? Or it's
So
just a storefront?
it's just, so the landlord is going to redemise, so they're just basically adding this amount of space all the way down,
Oh,
even within the space.
so it's picking up some square feet? for
Yes.
Gotcha. Great.
The door that's being removed, is that a required egress door for the gym?
I am not sure at the moment.
Actually,
I think that should be looked into.
no, the gym is actually in for a building permit
It is.
to get rid of that door.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, yeah, so that's going through the building permit process.
Okay.
And we're assuming it will be approved, right? We're assuming that it will be approved, right,
With
as
the-
part of this?
Oh, the
The gym,
gym? Yeah,
right.
that doesn't need site plan approval, that's just going through the building inspector.
But I think maybe as a condition, possibly, that the gym should get approval for removal of that door, because if it is a required egress door,
Your
then
application
this can't go
right.
through like this. Right?
Yeah.
I don't want
I
to
go
tie
to
two
that gym
permits
every
up,
day.
but,
I would
You know
think
what I
that the building and planning department would not
yeah, they wouldn't,
approve the removal of the door.
Right,
if it was
right,
If it was,
required.
and without that approval, they can't move forward, right?
Right, right.
Yeah, so,
Is it a condition or is it a precursor?
I guess.
Well, I mean, it's just a separate project. I mean, I asked the manager of the shopping center about it. I said, is the storefront, you know, for the gym moving? And he said, yeah, it's going to all be from the back side of the building, but they're going to maintain a sign on the front of the building.
Well, at some point, someone is going to have to remove that door, right? So who's removing it? Who's removing the door? Is it the applicant, or is it the gym?
My understanding is the gym.
Okay, so I think we can then make this, the approval of this application contingent upon
Right.
the gym door removal project receiving
Okay,
the
all
approval.
right, very
Yeah, because they have to go hand in hand.
Right.
And if not, you can come back to us
Okay.
with some alternative plans.
Do you know if they're relocating that exit, or?
Yeah, I wasn't able to figure that out from the
Okay.
plans that I saw, but, yeah, we could find that out.
Okay.
I can ask the building inspector about it.
But otherwise, I think
Yeah, I'm good
the
with
design
it.
looks perfectly nice, and in keeping, you know, it is helpful to have an illustration like this. It works in other places. It will work in Eastchester, so.
Yeah, there's a lot of storefronts in that shopping center that are being changed, and it's just another addition to that, which is certainly appreciated.
You know, is the Talbot's still there? Is it still operating, or is it?
I believe it's currently open.
Okay. What's the time frame that you're looking at to get in and, it doesn't look
so-
like massive renovations on the exterior,
Right.
but they'll be significant enough.
So I believe they will be vacating soon. I want to say our idea is to start construction, I want to say in August. So, yeah, they'll probably be vacating soon, and the landlord should be doing the interior demo. So,
Got it. Okay.
All right,
Any
so
other questions?
we're good up here?
Yep.
All good.
Okay, so let's stand by. We just have to see if there's any comments from the public. So I make a motion to open the public hearing on application 23-14, Lululemon, 670 White Plains Road.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Going once? Good, then we all agree. So I make a motion to close the public hearing on this application, 2314 Lululemon, 670 White Plains Road.
Second.
Good.
All in
All in
favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
thank you.
So then, subject to the condition we said previously about that door and the fire egress, I will make a motion to approve this application, 2314 Lululemon, 670 White Plains Road.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Take your,
Yeah, the samples. Mhm.
the next application is 2312 Pottery Barn.
Let me take it back? Sure. Want to keep it?
Did everybody up there have a copy of this already, or would you like one?
I'd like one.
Oh, and then for the building materials, if I have samples, do you want to see those up there?
Sure. Yep. It's always a best practice.
Thank you.
It's in here. Yeah, I'll take that, just so I have a smaller copy. Just got Rustle these papers for a while.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, good.
Locos all the way from California?
Seattle, actually.
Well, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Was everyone in Seattle impressed when you told them you were going to Eastchester?
What's that?
Was everyone in Seattle impressed when you told them you were going to Eastchester?
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
pretty jealous.
Good, that's the right answer.
Okay, so I think this is one building south of the project that we just reviewed. The existing space was American Eagle, and it's directly adjacent to the Barnes & Noble store, which has an entry more or less at this level, and then that store continues down, just to orient. So the existing storefront, and I actually do have, I'm wondering if I could just pull it up here. So the existing storefront here, as you can see, and I hope that's visible enough, I think you have a copy of this as well, is there's two entry doors, and then there's two different size sets of storefront windows, smaller on the left and then larger on the right. And then the LOD itself kind of jogs. There's an egress door right here on the right, I believe for Barnes & Noble. And then the LOD itself kind of steps back as you go back into the space. So as I stated during the ARB presentation, Williams-Sonoma, all their brands, and Pottery Barn especially, they really appreciate a symmetrical presentation. So what we're proposing to do of those two existing entry doors is to retain the right position, create or consolidate, I guess, all the glazing on the left-hand side to create a larger span of windows, and then mirror that on the right. So what you kind of end up with is a symmetrical storefront here. That pretty much aligns with all of the lease lines. It does align here. I believe on the right-hand side, this aligns with, or it's kind of in between the forward lease line and to the left of the next lease line, I guess back after the egress stair. So as far as the storefront materials themselves, the primary material is this Cove Dutch lap siding. It's actually like a polymer fly ash composite. It's super stable in a bunch of different climates. We've installed it in Chicago, New Hampshire, Seattle, lots of like southern locations too. So it performs really well. And then once it receives that paint, actually I have a drawdown of that too if you wanted to see it. It looks really great. It feels really residential. We feel, especially here, this kind of ties into the vernacular here.
When you say it performs well, what do you mean?
Performs well
Durable?
with extreme climates, so it's really stable. It doesn't warp. There's not a lot of, it doesn't absorb water. It is meant to, built to last, I guess.
But it's a manufactured wood product, or?
Yes, so that's the sample there on the furthest right. The manufacturer that we're using now is True Exterior, TRU Exterior. They actually manufacture all of the kind of trim boards as well. They have, very specific kind of guidelines as far as, how to cut, kerf, finish the ends and all that. I do believe even if this were not painted, it would last without any warping or damage on the facade.
Impressive. And
Um,
did you say you were going to put a stain on it, or what's the?
So the finish is a white paint. I think it's right here.
The second.
Right, okay, got it. No, I have it here.
So the colors of Benjamin Moore alabaster.
876.
Yes, 876 per the material board.
Read well.
So then kind of working around the storefront to the smaller elements, the kind of brand standard stone base is this flamed black basalt kind of continuous along the whole storefront. So that wood is not coming into contact with the sidewalk ever. I think in climates such as this where you get snow, we spec a 3 cm thickness, so that just is more durable, especially if there's like, any salts applied to the sidewalk. I'm not sure what the maintenance program is here. And then these two trellises are open wood construction. They're really meant to sort of pick up whatever the plant spec is here, and create kind of a nice sort of canopy and coverage in the summer. Probably will be like a deciduous. We haven't kind of nailed down what this is. The pots themselves will be a product that Pottery Barn sells. They do a stock withdrawal. So how these look over time is really important to them because it is something that they sell. So if anything happens to them, I foresee repairs and maintenance swapping those out, or with new lines kind of as they're introduced. Those would be swapped out. And then the canopy at the center, primary function is to shield customers as they enter the store. This is probably going to be an aluminum product made by a signage manufacturer, super tight controls over all those joints and how that's finished. Sometimes we also have the GC look at installing a steel product. It's really meant to look like steel. So there's an expressed kind of C channel on the exterior. And then on the underside, I believe those two lights, I have to double check my RCP. One of them will be on the emergency circuit. And then this reclaimed wood, it clads the underside. So the top of this thing is kind of weather tight, and the reclaimed wood is more or less protected with that canopy, and that's kind of recessed on the underside there. And then last, these trellis elements, those are metal, kind of a tubular, I believe it's like a 1x1 shape, and each of these squares are 2x2. So 1x1 inch and then 2 foot by 2 foot square. And those are kind of bolted to the facade with standoffs so the plant can grow between.
How far out are the trellises going to protrude from the?
These ones here?
Yep.
So I believe there's a section in the presentation later in the presentation. Let me look for it. Oh, actually, there's a section right there.
Yeah.
So let me find that
Is that 8 feet?
quick.
Or is that?
No, I don't think
top
it's
of
that
the door.
far.
Top of the door, okay. Yeah.
3 foot.
Never mind, yeah. That makes more sense.
3 foot plus or minus.
3 feet, okay.
Right, so the middle one is 4.
This is the section here. It's kind of hard to read on the.
Yeah.
One in the middle is 4, so
Okay.
there must be a section of the other one somewhere.
The canopy itself, just anticipating you might ask. So we're showing that at 4 foot.
They're all going to be 4 foot?
Yes, 4
Yeah.
feet.
Right, okay.
So there's a little bit of like hierarchy there with the canopy and the trellis.
But they're all going to be 4 feet?
Yeah, 4 foot max is the max projection.
And you have the one double door to enter?
Yes.
And is there, so that, right now, did you say there were a couple of sets of doors?
Yes, there's a double door. There's two sets of double doors, I believe. They're both 6-foot doors.
And I'm assuming that I don't know if there's another, is there another form of exit, like an emergency exit on the back or something?
Yes, there's there's kind of the loading corridor that leads to the loading dock, and that's the second means of egress.
Okay, got it. Okay.
I really appreciate the symmetry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how messy it was till you pointed it out.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's very clean, and you know, it really is nice, you know, Lululemon as well, and we've seen a lot of, some turnover in Vernon Hills, but I think the quality of the tenants who are coming in is pretty high, and it's nice to see, you know, good brands coming in, places that I know for one, my wife certainly wants to shop.
Nice.
I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
I'm in the same boat.
But, no, it's a very nice design. And
Yeah.
I
Thank
think
you.
It's
Yeah.
to be commended.
Yeah, very handsome elevation. I think it speaks to the product well, too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do like the fact that you're kind of using your wares and in a very practical way that serves as an advertisement of sorts, in a
Right.
very tasteful way.
Right.
So-
Like, why not do
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
Yep.
So you went through the trouble of bringing this. I know what that one is. What's that wood over there? Is that?
So that is the reclaimed wood. It actually receives a stain or a sealer,
Right.
so it darkens it a little bit. That's just the sample that Williams-Sonoma provided to me. So I think that's the raw product that you see there. The reclaimed wood, also I want to mention, shows up on the interior of the store. A lot of the bays have this as a surround. So the bays are like white on the interior to kind of serve as a neutral backdrop to the product. And then these kind of frame the exterior. And then there's a bunch of other instances where the reclaimed wood is used as well, like behind the cash wrap and stuff. And then that's the Solar Band 72. Just visibility into the store is really important for Williams-Sonoma. So they like us to spec, you know, this vitro glass that has a little bit more visibility.
So that's all new glazing.
That's all new glazing, yeah. Yeah, we're not reusing anything. And then the storefront system, that's an example. I think that one's from Oldcastle. As you may or may not know, lead times are still crazy on storefront manufacturers, and we kind of go with, you know, the same aesthetic, you know, 2-inch profile, aluminum system with, you know, minimal kind of joints on the face. They don't like to see a lot of mess on the profiles themselves. So Conair is another one, YKK. It kind of depends on who the GC can, you know, or you know, what they can source.
Right.
But this is an example of kind of the color. So it's an off black. It's not a, you know, shiny. It's not shiny. It's not pure black. It's like an off black or black bean color. Yeah.
That's the
Like a
base
matte
stuff.
finish.
What's that?
That's
Like a
the
matte
base.
finish.
Oh, that is matte.
Yeah, that's the, yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
And then that's the base.
Base.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So again, it's kind of like a warmer gray, not like a
I think it all goes well.
shiny porcelain.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, looks,
You don't have to
looks
do
good.
this, we did it, right? So, two quick questions, just because. On Pottery Barn, I just noticed, is the P, I'm sorry, on Pottery, thanks, Phil. So on Pottery Barn, is the P and the B larger than the other letters?
It is, yes.
It is, right?
Yeah, it's
clearly
pretty much
just a
always
little-
been that way, and it's, yeah.
What's that?
It's pretty much always been that way, but unless you're really concentrating on it, it's,
Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
appear.
right. So we understand this is kind of a separate process similar to what we've been through, and that is currently ongoing. You know, people in the town are very sensitive to this, you know, aligning with the adjacent tenants, and that's absolutely our intent. So I'm sure the signage team from SignTech, they'll have exhibits that kind of show
Yep.
more context.
How is the storefront illuminated from the front?
You know, that's a good question. We're not proposing any sconces, except for the, you know, the lights kind of signaling where the entry is. It's not really illuminated except for kind of ambient light. So I think if you're concerned about light pollution, that's good.
Yeah.
But but really the focus is sort of what, the merchandise within the store. So we are really careful with how we kind of place the light track on the interior. We use a B22, I believe, or no, B11 is the taller profile unistrut, and then that's also clad in the reclaimed wood to create kind of a ceiling datum. That'll be above the height of the storefront. There's one track at the front, right behind the storefront, probably 12 to 24 inches, that illuminates the merchandise from the behind the storefront itself, so that kind of the face of all of that product gets lit. But other than that, no illumination.
It's also, the whole presentation is a light color, and that will pick up, I'm sure, the parking lot lighting will
Yeah.
illuminate it. But the light, I guess it's the seven smaller windows on the top, are they going to be lit in any way? Is that part of, is that a separate floor? Yeah,
It is,
so that's
yeah.
not- Is that part of the Pottery Barn? No, that's,
No, that's a separate, I believe it's offices up there.
Yeah.
So it's outside, it's technically outside of our lease line.
Right.
We are extending slightly above. I think it's a couple feet. Actually, right here, the section kind of shows it's not dimensioned. Just to extend, for proportion, and landlord was okay with that, conceptually. So we're showing that extending over the top lease line. That office isn't really programming this facade at all, so.
got it.
I never knew that's the offices, that the entrance is on the side.
Yeah, I believe so, like down here.
It goes up to there.
Yeah,
I never noticed that. But that's like reflective glass, and that's not changing, I guess, right?
right.
So, right, so I guess it's shown in the rendering, all of those display windows, you guys don't put displays in the windows, it just gives you a vision into what's inside the store.
So Pottery Barn, I think, will, put, they call them lifestyles up against the window, pretty close to the window so you can see them.
Right.
So, there may be like a dining table kind of fully merchandised and a sofa lifestyle. Maybe in the summer, there's like an outdoor umbrella kind of with an outdoor, furniture grouping there, so.
Is the lighting stay on at night, or is it lowered, or is everything turned dark?
I don't think it can. And nor would they want to all night. I actually don't know the answer to how long it stays on after they're closed.
It's on a timer at some point.
Yeah, so
Times down.
if you're familiar with the West Elm, which is just across the parking lot, it's the same company. And I think that's why they have a lot of confidence in this, at this site, because
Who's that?
West Elm, the other furniture store right there.
That's, yeah.
It's right next to the Lens Crafters, and I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
that's
okay,
a
yeah.
bank next
That's
door.
the bridal shop.
Chase back.
Yeah, so I'd imagine, and again, I don't know what they do, but I'd imagine it'd be exactly the same as what they do. Yeah,
Okay.
right.
That's all the questions I could muster.
Yep.
Very well done.
Yeah.
You guys okay?
Yes,
Yes.
Good.
let's open that public hearing.
And you found my cheat sheet, thank you. I'll take yours.
Yours.
Oh, okay. So, there's no more comments here. I make a motion to open the public hearing on application 23-12, Pottery Barn, 670 White Plains Road.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Everyone's speechless because it looks so good. So I make a motion to close the public hearing on this application, 23-12, Pottery Barn, 670 White Plains Road.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I don't think there's any conditions. I think we just will approve it as is then.
Yes.
So I make a motion to approve this application, 2312 Pottery Barn, 670 White Plains Road.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you for
All
the
right, good luck.
presentation. That's
Congratulations.
very pretty.
Tell your friends in Seattle you were treated
So-
very well in Eastchester.
Do all the stores, just in general, use the same sort of mix of materials?
So primarily, yes. Most of them is this palette, with a few minor modifications. I can tell you we're doing one in Southern California that is kind of Spanish style. So they do change it up, depending on the location. But this palette was developed for, they're based in San Francisco, and a store in Marin, Corte Madera, is where they first used this palette. So it's interesting because this is really appropriate there, and it feels really appropriate here. So I think more often than not, this is the palette. Yeah.
Right.
Are you doing any other Pottery Barns recently?
Yes.
Good news. I go
Yeah.
hear about people closing hard stores. It's good to
No,
hear that.
everywhere. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's good news.
You can have your
Material.
hard-earned supplies back.
Thank you.
Okay.
Don't
Yep.
leave Eastchester. Walk
Samples.
around a little
Yeah.
bit, get to know a little bit. so you
Spend
can
some
go back.
money.
And some money.
I did today. Yeah.
Go to the bar called Mickey Spillane's and have a beer there.
Yes.
I'm sure they'll buy you one. Great, thank you. Next application is 23-18, Bout Boxing, 74 Garth Road.
Have a good trip back.
Yes, safe
Yeah,
trip back.
thank you.
Members of the board, Michael Mastrojano. We're here tonight to get a special use permit for the, for my client for bout boxing. What this is a, oh, hello? Oh, there you go. Big difference. Thank you. All right, again, my name is Michael Mastrojano. I'm with Gibbons Engineering. We're here for a special use permit for a boxing gym and training area. What our client is looking to do is have a personal boxing experience where you can go there. They're only looking at having about 2 classes a day, one in the morning, one in the evening. Very small classes. They more focus on one-on-one training, and it's not like, you know, there's going to be 20 people in this place at all times. So they're looking at, you know, again, a class in the morning, a class in the evening, roughly about 8 people, and then during the day, a one-on-one. And they're not looking to have 2 or 3 trainers with 2 or 3 people at each time. So they're looking more at one person with a trainer, and they're dedicated for that space. So this is an existing space that we're utilizing. We have some minor work to do in order to put all the equipment in, and that's about it.
2 classes, you said. Is
Yes.
that right? So like a morning class and a night class?
Yeah, a morning class and an evening class.
But that's subject to change, right? I mean, you don't have to come back if you decide to do more classes, right? Or is
I
that?
have the
No,
client
I think
here.
it's more a procedural question. Is that does that become a condition, or that's not enforceable, is it? The 2 class per day thing?
No,
Seems like it's
no, that's not, yeah, that's not,
nice point, but it could change, right? We can't kind of hold you to
Yeah.
that.
They have another gym in Roslyn, and they're using the same business model here. It's worked well for them for a while, and they want to use the same business model here.
Any idea what time the classes will be?
I'll let the client
Sure.
speak. That way you get a little bit more information on the actual classes.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Alec. It's my gym. So.
Last name, Alec?
What's that?
Last name?
Alec Cusick.
Okay, got it.
So I started the studios. We have 2. We have one in Roslyn and one in Long Island City. The reason I wanted to do Eastchester is a lot of Roslyn clients have overflow here in this area. So people from this area actually reached out to me if I was looking to do one here. In Roslyn, for example, today we only have 1 class. It's 9 a.m. Tomorrow we only have 1 class, 9 a.m. Saturday, Sunday, it's only 1. When COVID happened, we changed our business model and became more of a private studio, and that's worked a lot better for us than previously.
Okay. How long have you been operating the Roslyn location?
It just was 5 years, 2 weeks ago.
Okay. And the Long Island City location?
A year and a half.
Okay. And what are the what are your hours of operation there? Granted, Long Island City is a different
Yeah.
type of venue.
So, so Roslyn, I'll get there, or like I was in Roslyn at 6:30 this morning, and then I left to come here, but it will be open till 8 tonight. Long Island City is 7 to 6. But when I say it's 7 to 6, it's not, we'll close for 2 hours in the afternoon. It just might be like 1 class, 2 classes in the morning in Long Island City, then we'll break for a couple hours, a couple of privates, and then another class at night.
Okay. How about, do you have membership at this gym? Or is it sort of a pay per class type of thing?
Yeah, so it's like a specialty studio. Like most people that belong here will have like a membership to Equinox or another gym, and then they'll use this as like a specialty. It's not like a hardcore boxing gym. Mostly it's women in the morning and then kids in the afternoon. So, and it's a lot of one-on-ones, 90% one-on-ones.
Does anyone in your Roslyn location, for example, do people come in just to sort of quote unquote use the gym without instruction?
So no, it's appointment only. So what we have is so like for example, like after school today, like I was there. It's mostly one-on-one, like kids. If they don't play sports, they'll come there, and this will be like their sport. And most of them are not trying to be boxers. It's more for fitness, coordination, all that stuff.
Self-defense?
Self-defense. Not too many fighters come out of this gym, but it's mostly, like a fitness place.
So is there a trainer for each person in the gym? Or do they do multiple?
No, so like this morning when I did the class, it's me and my sister that have it, and in Long Island City, we have 2 or 3 other trainers throughout the week. The way they do it is there'll be one instructor. For Roslyn, there's 9 people in the class if it's sold out, and there'll be one instructor for those 9 people. Long Island City, it's 10 people is the max, so it'll be one person for those 10. And then when it's a private, it will be me and you, or if you wanted to bring a friend, it'd be me and you two.
How long is the session?
How long?
How long is the session?
Half hour to an hour, 50 minutes, half hour to 50 minutes.
So what happens in the establishment in the downtime between, where there's back-to-back appointments throughout
It's
the day?
usually back-to-back. So with Roslyn, so the business model is we try to keep our overhead very small and very simple. We don't like competing with like other bigger places, but the way we've been able to do it is we're so specialized in how we like work with people that they'll leave bigger gyms and bigger studios to train with us. And it's worked, for 5 years. It's been pretty successful.
So in terms of, certainly one of the concerns that we're going to have here is it's a congested area to begin with up on Garth Road. And I know some residents have weighed in on that. So in terms of the number of people who will be using the gym at any given moment, it sounds like roughly 9 o'clock in the morning or so, whatever the morning session would be, you might have 1 or 2 trainers and 8 or 9, 10 people. So you maybe you have a dozen people on the high end, and then you may duplicate that in the afternoon, evening.
Probably if we were to do it, it would probably be 7:30 based on the train schedule.
Yeah.
That's kind of why we also looked at the location, was because of the train schedule. We saw a lot of people walking, and that we think that would be a good, point to use.
Okay. And then in between the morning session and the evening session, you'd have those individual sessions where there would be, I guess, pretty low impact in terms of the number of people using the place. So, but there might be,
Ideally,
there may be a couple at a time at most, all right? Plus the instructors.
yeah, like 1 or 2 people. It's a small
It's
operation.
not like you're turning over every training station every half hour.
No. I mean, I would love to, but that would be
I was about to say, I
unrealistic.
don't know how you stay in business, but it's your model.
Yeah.
So, but then why do we have 16 punching bag stations?
16?
I mean, the floor plan shows 16 What are they called?
So people will transfer back and forth. Sometimes there'll be like TRX stations, so they'll be going on the bag at one point, and then they'll be doing like weight area.
Oh, so it's different, one person could use multiple
Yeah.
stations, got it.
And at some point, you may have 9 or 10 people at one time. Or,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
Okay,
So like Roslyn, we have 9 stations, and then in the back there's TRXs and there's weights and that stuff, and they'll kind of go back and forth. And then Long Island City, there's 10.
okay.
What's the square footage of the Roslyn location?
1,400. Long Island City is tiny. It's like 950.
950.
And for Long Island City, there's no parking spaces. And then Roslyn, we're in an apartment complex. So there's like 32 apartments, and then there's 13 like commercial tenants, and there's between all of them, there's 28 parking spots. Not the residential have their own reserved. Between the 13, there's 28 spots, and it's nail salons, hair salons, a spa, a couple of stores, and we've never had an issue because we're usually there before they're opened, and then they close, and then we do it again because we work on those off hours.
Is that Roslyn or Long Island City that you just described?
Roslyn is
It's
that.
Roslyn.
And that's the exact population, I think, is a very similar population, is Roslyn and this area, where Long Island City is a city crowd, so there's less privates, there's more classes. There might be 4 or 5 a day, where Roslyn, there's one. I know it sounds kind of weird, but it's kind of how we,
Yeah, no, it's understandable. Long Island City is just right across the East River from Manhattan, and it's heavily residential. It's been very heavily developed in the last decade or so. It's a different, it's an urban setting as opposed to a suburban setting. So, yeah, I agree with you that the Roslyn location is probably the much stronger comparable.
and to your point about is it subject to change? If we were sold out every single second of the day, which we haven't in Roslyn, we kind of even if that still is the case, we're not doing midday classes. It would be an unrealistic for any studio gym. Like for example, if you look at like one of the bigger ones, like a Soul Cycle, which is a really big one, they'll do a 6, 7, 8, maybe a 9 and 10, like so in that range, and then they'll close for mostly all day and maybe a 6 p.m. And they're a huge studio like that. We're not like like an Equinox where people will come in all day. It's not like that. It's maybe if we got really popular, maybe do 1 or 2 in the morning, but it'd be like in 7 and 8 based off of the train schedule and kid drop off and all that stuff. And then at night, ideally just 1 if it got to that point.
You said it's a studio gym, not a health club, right? I guess that's the characterization of your space versus New York Sports Club.
Yeah, it's a studio. Yeah,
It's not,
yeah, definitely. And we don't do like memberships, I guess you can say. Like we don't do that style because it's sign up. So if it's only 10 or so spaces, let's just say, and we do 7 to 10 classes a week, most people are not doing memberships. It's like you do your membership and then you come here and you do whatever it is. So it's pay as you go.
okay.
All right, so,
You have more questions, guys, or
let's move on to the variances, I guess.
or the criteria or whatever that is? So
Yes, so-
I think this
Well,
is back-
actually, we have to open the public hearing first before we go over the
But can we
criteria.
go over the criteria first before
No,
we?
no, I was told that we have to have the public hearing, we have to open the public hearing first.
And we have to take comments, and then we go back?
Yeah, and then we go back and do the criteria. Yeah.
Sounds good. We've always got a plan, which is very good. So stand by, we're going to do a public hearing, 10 comments, and then we'll get back to you. So I make a motion to open the public hearing on this application, 23-18, bout boxing, 74 Garth Road.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Yes.
Please come forward.
Good evening. It's been a little while. My name is Barry Kramer. I'm president of 105 Garth Road, which is the co-op building almost directly opposite the stores. I'm also president of the Garth Road Cooperative Council, which is the 11 co-op buildings on Garth Road. It's been a little while since I've been here. The whole place is redecorated. But I've been asked here to come and talk a little bit about the feelings that the residents of Garth Road have about the prospect of another gym or similar facility on Garth Road. As you know, Garth Road is a very congested area, and over the past year or so has become even more congested. There are over 5,000 residents on Garth Road, and we are now sharing our street with many restaurants, Tipsy Taco, Cafe Alaya, Essie Asian, just a few that are in that immediate area. And we are all jockeying for spaces at virtually the same time. What really has compounded the need for parking on Garth Road is the Iron Vault Gym, which I suppose at some point did come before this group and asked for permission to open the Iron Vault Gym at 4 Grey Rock Road. That gym, there's lots of cars parking all day long from early hours and until the late evening. And that is the Iron Vault. I see folks kind of wondering who is the Iron Vault Gym. So that's at 4 Grey Rock Road, and that is taking the entire floor, I'd say the second floor of that facility. So while we do appreciate a thriving and vibrant commercial district, and actually my real estate office is part of that district as well, we are very, very concerned about the increased need for parking that the new boxing facility would create. Some of what Alex mentioned, and actually, Alex, we appreciate Alec, I'm sorry. We appreciate that not having empty storefronts. So I welcome having another business, but the thing that we want to think about is what can we do to alleviate a very bad parking situation. So I would like to offer a couple of suggestions. I believe that this building, which also consists of a Christie's real estate office, a new hair salon, Moxie Hair Salon, which has not opened yet, and also the Oceans Bank, I think are all part of the same building. I believe that property is owned by Garson Brothers. Garson Brothers also owns Scarsdale Common, which is directly behind that building. They have currently, when you drive into the driveway for that building for Scarsdale Common, they have parallel parking along the back wall of what used to be, many of us will remember the CVS, and if not, the Cornerstone Children's Center, which recently vacated the property. So one suggestion that we would like to offer for the landlord to try to help this facility open would be to consider having diagonal parking spaces along that wall rather than parallel parking. I think it's something that the town would have to look into to see if it still allows proper egress to and from Scarsdale Common. But we are just trying to get a little creative and determine, is there a way that we can add more parking to help this facility happen? Another possibility is what's called the Beatty lot, B-E-A-T-T-Y. That's actually owned primarily by Scarsdale. It's the large open parking lot that is directly behind, let's say, Slice Pizza. So it's directly behind your facility. That is currently permit only for the village of Scarsdale. Many years ago, it used to be parking meters. Scarsdale now has that as all permit parking in addition to the adjacent Freightway garage. There's the amount of demand for parking in those two places, the Beatty lot and Freightway garage, has come down tremendously since COVID. So the Beatty lot is now virtually empty all day long. And I've spoken to Supervisor Calavita about this, about the possibility of approaching Scarsdale to see if they would allow that lot to become perhaps something like Pango and permit. There's no reason to eliminate the permit parking. There's plenty of room, and and most of the permit parkers are parking in Freightway anyway. So again, rather than coming here tonight and just complaining that there's no parking, I'm trying to offer a few suggestions that might be considered by this applicant and the owner of the property in order to make it work for the neighborhood, to make it work for both the commercial district as well as the residents and the patrons who are coming into the community. So again, we're not negative on new businesses. We welcome new businesses. I just think before any application is approved for this space, and actually I have a question. How many square footage is this space?
What is it?
It's 1,200
So is that
square feet.
Is that the entire vacant space right now? It's the whole space. Okay, great. Right. So essentially, that will complete the spaces that are between the real estate office and the new hair salon. Right. Okay. Great. So that will complete that whole section, and we just want to see that there's some consideration given to parking, because that, as everyone knows, is a big problem on Garth Road. So thank you very much, and hope you'll take that into consideration.
Thank you.
Great.
And by the way, we did receive your email, and I know I read it, and I thought that in particular, one thing that hadn't struck me is how the need for parking has probably decreased, because many of us are working on something of a hybrid schedule, where we're not in the office 5 days a week anymore. Some still are. Some don't go in at all anymore. So if what you're telling us is correct about this Beatty lot, that sounds like a very sensible resolution. I don't know, is this lot in Scarsdale proper?
Well, the Beatty lot is not always easy to determine what's going on. And we've had discussions with the Village of Scarsdale going back 20, 30 years. The Beatty lot is primarily in Scarsdale. There are about 3 to 4 to 5 spaces that are on Eastchester property. And the Beatty lot has been under discussion between Eastchester and Scarsdale for a long time, and how it could work well for us. I mean, the good news, Alex, is...
Alec?
I apologize. And I even asked you. The good news, Alec, is that there's free parking in Freightway Garage all weekend long and holidays. That's right near your proposed business. And that also flows over to the Beatty lot, where there's free parking in the evening from 6 to 11. They allow free parking in the Beatty lot. So, other times of day is really where the issue would be. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, the only thing I think is important to keep note of here is that while many of these solutions that you are offering are actually excellent ideas, I think that your comments and your suggestions really need to be addressed before the town board in terms of reconfiguration of parking spaces that exist there, the use of the lot, potentially negotiating with another municipality that may go out, well, that definitely go outside the scope of this particular application, and what this board is here to kind of address. I mean, I think those are very, very good suggestions. It's been a long time coming, because the Garth Road area, it's just a parking nightmare. And everyone acknowledges that, but I would encourage you to, while I believe it is outside the scope of this application, I would encourage you to follow up on that with the board, the town board.
And I actually agree with you. I have been speaking to Supervisor Calavita about this, but I think by way of coming here this evening, it just opens the door for this committee to kind of further know or have an awareness of this as an option. Certainly, anything that can be done by the landlord that owns the property, that makes a lot of sense. If Garson Brothers can do something within their own property to create parking for businesses that are on their property, that's something that this board should definitely look into, because that's on the landlord.
Yes. Good point.
Yes, thank you. Robert, that's a certainly a good point, because I was going to ask, one moment, I was going to ask all of the,
Are we done with the?
oh, I don't know, I was speaking, I was hoping he was
You
going
want
to
to
stay.
get through your thought?
I would like to
or-
finish my sentence.
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Good. So, Mr. Kramer, could you hang on a second? So the lots that you brought up, just so I know, the one that you said maybe they do Pango there, change the parking configuration, whose lot is that?
Garson Brothers. You're
Oh,
talking
it
about
is.
where the parking can be changed from, let's call it parallel to diagonal. That's Garson Brothers property for Scarsdale Common. It's right in the, you guys, I guess I could say, you guys know the way the configuration is for the storefronts of what used to be the CVS or the Children's Center, and then directly behind that is the Scarsdale Common apartment building. So when you go, the egress to Scarsdale Common is from Gray Rock Road. And as you're going in that direction, the old CVS building is to your left. Those spaces along that wall are parallel parking. We're suggesting, well, maybe there's a chance, I'm not an engineer, maybe there's a chance that instead of parallel parking, some of those spaces could be diagonal, so there'd be more spaces created along the wall. But again, that's something that the fire department would have to look at, as well as the building department.
Landlord of the building.
I'm happy to meet over there. If anybody would like to meet me, my office is across the street. Our building has no parking, so I don't guarantee anything for parking, but we'd be happy to meet you over there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
Who was in this space before they came along?
The movie theater.
My question.
It was a movie
Before
theater?
Scarsdale Common?
No,
In the store.
before,
Storefront?
It was a real estate office, right? There was some kind of office.
Before which one?
The subject site is, it's a,
That was the
is a bank?
bank. That was
was
the
the
bank.
bank.
Was that
That's, that's office use, a bank? It's different than this.
Different. Bank is different than
application said it
office.
was an office.
Yes.
It was an office of some sort. Okay.
There, I think it may have been Chase Bank. I've been on Garth Road for
Okay, it
almost
was- doesn't
40
matter.
years. You lose track of who's,
But it was a bank, it wasn't a.
yeah, I mean, right now, Christie's real estate office is in the same building,
Okay.
and Ocean's Bank, and there's a new hair salon, Moxie Hair Salon. Hopefully they came before you guys.
Got them. Okay, great.
So, hold
You
on.
don't use them.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Sorry. I had to say it.
I was thinking it, but I wouldn't have
Oh,
so
Moxie Hair
rudely made
Salon?
a comment like that.
All right, let's get to the next guy before I say another thing that's so wrong. Thank you. I apologize. No harm intended.
I was just joking about how you would not be using the hair facility, probably.
Space for.
The Moxie,
No,
yes.
my barber visits my home directly.
There we go.
I apologize. All right, next gentleman, please. Thank you. We're going to cede the mic to the next person. Thank you.
Thank you.
Didn't submit a traffic.
Hi, John Crittenden, 105 Garth Road, also a resident. I think one of your questions was about the Pango. The Pango that Barry Kramer was talking about is the Scarsdale. So they would have control over the Pango. The lot changing the diagonally to parallel, that's private land.
Yes.
That's not municipality. There was a concern of parking and what you can and can't do and going to the town and talking about parking, but I do want you to understand at night, during the day it's not as difficult, but at night, even though it looks like there's a lot of spaces available, on Gray Rock, that's 9 to 5 p.m. to 9 a.m., permit parking, Garth Road permit parking only. So stores, restaurants, they're not allowed to park there without getting tickets. The gym, they're not supposed to be parking there. They do. That's a whole nother issue. That is taking up a lot of spaces. There's a commuter lot down below, the resident commuter lot, that's permit 24 hours except for Sundays and holidays. So people and the restaurants that are there cannot park there. You also have restaurants when their business is going to be in the evening, not during the day, not during the morning, which is causing even more traffic and congestion in that area. So you can't really be thinking of it as a typical space and area, residential area, without knowing the permits of where people are and are not allowed. It looks like there's a lot, but there's not for businesses in the evening, and that's causing a lot of problems in the parking in the area. So having some kind of parking when there's going to be 10 extra potential cars, because people are potentially coming individually, I'm not so sure how many people are going to be coming off a train on Garth Road and then going home. That might be the case, but I think a lot more people are going to be having cars coming there. So I want you to have a good understanding of the parking situation, that it's not other parts of the town. There's a lot of uniquenesses that are there, and there are, in the evening, it is extremely difficult. If you talk to other town members, you're hearing that there's a lot of issues going on right now with parking. So maybe if this was a different time, it wouldn't have been quite as much of a issue, but right now there is a serious issue of parking, especially in the evening, on that particular part of Garth Road. So just please keep that in mind.
Well, it sounds like there is already, and we know anyone who's been there, and I do get up to Garth Road quite a bit.
But a lot of people don't understand that the Gray Rock, that's still permit in the evening from 5 p.m. until 9 a.m. That was put into place because there was a gym underneath where the Iron Vault is, and the gym members were parking there, so that got changed. So when residents were coming home, they have a place to park.
Yes.
And it isn't from any of the businesses taking space for where people are coming home. Now, as you said, yes, people are not necessarily commuting, so there's even more congestion from residents who are staying home and using parking spaces because they're working from home and not going to work.
Yes,
So,
but residents are probably not going to want to pay for metered parking. They want the parking, the permitted parking. I don't know of any resident who wants to go out and feed a meter or pay for pango, right?
That's right.
So it sounds to me like, I think everyone acknowledges there is an existing parking problem. I like Mr. Kramer's ideas of maybe
and that is
steps to
private
address
that
that.
could
but,
happen.
Yeah, it could happen, and obviously Rob Tedesco pointed out that there's only so much we can do in the context of this application, but it does certainly sound like there is at least the potential for some alleviation of the issue that probably needs to take place, I guess, not only at a higher level within the town of Eastchester, but also in collaboration with the village of Scarsdale.
Right, and unfortunately, you don't have control over that. We'd love to have that. But
We should really have control over a lot more things, don't you think so, Mr. Chairman?
I think we should
I hope that you
just get more people to complain or have.
going to the landlord and trying to, manipulate a little bit more and seeing if the landlord can do something to help them out to get there.
Yeah, that's more
is
practical and
something
maybe
that
doable.
might be in
Yeah.
line.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's real. Well,
Thank
one
you.
more question. So since you're a resident, you see this, where do the people park that are looking to go? They just park illegally in permitted spots, or? 'Cause it seems like
They
there's-
park down by 281 and then walk back up.
Oh, that's,
So the opposite end of the street, because there is no place when they're coming home. Some do park in the parking meters and feed the meter until 7 o'clock, and then have to either move it early or feed the meter at 8 a.m. now, because they're ticketing at 8. If you don't have something there, and then on street cleaning on Mondays and Tuesdays, people have to move off the side.
but that's residents you're talking about, right? I'm talking about the people that are going to the restaurants or using the businesses.
Some of the restaurants have valet parking, and they're using Freightway garage in the evening.
Oh, I see.
So they valet and they park the cars of their patrons in Freightway. You see some that kind of double park while they're running in and getting takeout and then leave. It's kind of typical for any kind of neighborhood that has
Yeah,
takeout
for the
restaurants.
takeout,
So,
right.
but it's an issue, and they're trying to alleviate it. And the restaurants are doing the best they can with valet and move the cars out of the area.
Right, okay.
Because they don't want it. They don't want people coming and having to walk a half a mile to their restaurant.
Yeah, you don't
They're not
know.
going to go.
Right. Yeah, so they valet it. That's how they do it. Okay, thank you. Please, yep.
Yes, please.
This is the location, right in here. It's right in the middle of that commercial.
Hi, my name is Gary Cusick. I'm Alec's father. I just wanted to say a couple of things. I've been to the spot probably 10, 15 times to look at the building and everything, different days, all types of hours. And I know there's a parking garage in the back. I've parked in front of our space every single time. I see spots everywhere. You know, the main focus here is on parking. Alec explained to you, this is not a parking gym. It's just not. And there is a garage in the back. I've seen 10, 15, 20 spots every single time I've been here.
What
So-
hours are this, that you've been there? What, are you ever there in the evening?
I've been in there all different hours, meeting contractors, just doing things, morning, middle of the day, evening, got a slice of that pizza, had gone in the back, saw a parking garage. It's never been an issue, but like Alex said, it's not Equinox. This is a very small.
Well, I can tell you, like, as a resident of the town of Eastchester, if you're going to argue that it's not crowded in Garth Road, you're not going to get a lot of sympathy for that argument. That anyone who's been there, and I've gone to many of the restaurants up in that area, sometimes I just do pickup up there, and it is very crowded. I can tell you that. Every time I go, which tends to be in the evening, it's crowded. And it's crowded on the weekends. Understand that the complaints that I've heard are consistent with my experience, and you telling me that you've been there a number of times and there's 20 spots doesn't ring true. Maybe you're just the luckiest guy in the world, but I'm not saying that this isn't an issue that we can't work through, but you're saying that in your experience, as limited as it might be, it hasn't been a problem. I'm not really buying it. I don't know if anyone else on the board is.
I just wanted to tell you something about the gym that Alec, the studio that Alec did not mention. So Alec and my daughter Nell own the gyms and run them. They instruct 5-year-olds up to 85-year-olds. They go to, in Roslyn, Alec can leave the house at 5:30 and he goes to clients' homes because they they have gyms in their basement. They do that all the time. My daughter Nell takes elderly people around Roslyn for walks. That's their training session. It's a the community of Roslyn, Alec and Nell are, incredible people, and this community would be the same way, and it would be a huge loss not to give a chance because I've been here a bunch of times now, and it's not your typical thing. They're incredible people, and it'll be well worth it here. I just wanted to say that.
Thank you for your comments. We appreciate what you said about your son and your daughter, and they are the kind of people we want to be part of our community because it's a family business, so we're not trying to keep them out. We're just trying to find a way that will allow them to operate here without impacting the people that already live here.
Yeah,
So,
I just think it's.
I think just what you said, the kind of people we want here
Yeah,
are the people.
I do think also it's important, and Alec gave us a very full description, I think, of exactly the relatively low impact that a gym of this nature would have as opposed to an Equinox, or, we used other examples there. So that's an important takeaway. But along the lines of Alec and Nell, I don't know if they're going to be the ones running this particular gym. If so, you know, their loss, our gain in Eastchester would presumably be Roslyn's loss, because I can't imagine that they can be in two places at once. And Roslyn is probably not the easiest place to get to with traffic in the daytime. So, you know, somebody else may be running the gym, not Alec or Nell, but presumably those are going to be very good quality people who will follow the same business model, and it will be, you know, that's what we're anticipating, and that's what we're hoping for, and that's what we're evaluating this application based on.
And then I guess, what's the time frame? So, I mean, since we signed the lease, it's been a month and a half. I haven't been able to do anything. It's just, you know, we had to wait for this meeting. So what happens from here? Like, as far as when?
Up to this guy.
So the requirement for the parking has been in place from when you signed the lease. It's not something new. You just weren't aware of it, I think.
I can't hear, what?
Oh, I'm sorry. So the parking requirement that you're here to discuss, and this whole thing is because there is a zoning issue of how much parking should be required for the space you have.
Right.
That's been in place, that hasn't changed. Unfortunately, you weren't aware of it when you signed the lease. I mean, that's why you're here. The usage of the space you're taking has changed. If it were the same, if it were an office space, we'd be done. But because it's a gym, the requirement for parking is different. Even though there is no parking, oddly enough, the requirement is more spaces. So it's a bigger deficit than if it was an office, there'd be nothing to talk about. That's the issue, and that's not new.
So how much time from this point on, like, is it before Alex knows, is it a month, is it 2 months, is it 3 months?
Well, that's why we're here. So we have a couple of options as to what to do. And actually, maybe you could explain it better than I.
Yeah.
Well, sure. In order to operate the gym, you need to get a special permit approval. So what we have to do tonight is we have to go through the special permit standards and evaluate your application based on those standards. In the event that your application does not meet the standards, and I can tell you right off the bat that you don't meet the standards for parking, it has to be referred to the Zoning Board of Appeals. They meet next month. And then they would be able to grant the variance.
Have to address that issue in terms of timing, because new applications that come before the zoning board for variances don't get decided the night that they are brought. What typically happens is the application gets presented, the board reviews it, there's a public hearing, and then the matter gets adjourned for consideration, and there is at the following meeting, a vote is taken on the resolution. The problem that you face timing-wise here is that June is the last before we come back in September. There's no July or August meeting. There have been situations where the board has met just for resolutions in certain cases, but typically the zoning board chair, Alan Pillow, will actually make that statement to applicants before every meeting to say, just be aware that if you're bringing an application for this board, it will not be decided tonight, it will be decided the next time. So the next zoning board meeting is the second Tuesday in June, and those applications will go over the summer unless there's a special meeting in between. So that's something that you're going to have to discuss with the Building and Planning Department in terms of what the board's intention is, just to give you an idea of what the scheduling is.
Yep.
But then, Rob, do they, after they get the resolution from zoning, are they obligated to come back to planning for final approval?
Well,
Yes.
that's another issue, but in terms of getting an answer on a variance that's applied for by zoning,
Correct.
that is how that process works. And then there would be a final site approval that would come back here. So you're talking about those issues, and you need to really know how that plays out.
Right.
So best case, you're not back here till Q4, till the end of the summer, you know, if everything goes
Possibly
right.
even October, or
Yeah, I'm
but
thinking September,
could
October.
be late September, your planning
Yeah, I
board
mean, it's
meeting,
not
but
for a while.
possibly even October.
Right,
Yeah,
but
September,
also
October.
based on what we decide right now, because
Right, yeah.
the alternatives are, as you said, go to zoning, or the alternatives are we as a board feel that your establishment and the parking situation that's going to be caused because of it aren't suitable, and we just don't even reply, we send it to zoning. I'm not saying we're doing, but that is an option. And the other option, I think, is what we're hearing right now, to try and ask you to work something out with your landlord to get some spaces to alleviate the situation. So there's a couple of things we have to decide on,
Right.
each having a different time frame.
And then, of course, is the building department, because if there's obviously any interior alterations,
Right.
those would go to the building department for plan review, and then final review by the building inspector. So,
What if the landlord, I think is Garson?
You have to come up to the mic so the record can pick it up.
I think Garson is the owner of the building, the landlord. And if he comes up with parking spots, does that speed things along with this parking issue?
I don't know if speeding along is the right terminology, but certainly any creative solutions that you might be able to work out with the landlord will facilitate, I would think they would improve the likelihood of a positive outcome.
I think that if whatever solutions you come up with the landlord would certainly minimize or possibly even work around your having to go to zoning for a variance, that would obviously speed up the process, because if you are here for final approval and you don't need a variance, then planning board votes on applications when they've had enough information. So if you need variances, that is where the issue becomes problematic. In terms of timing, it just may set you back.
So basically, in a perfect world, Alec we won't be able to start construction until the end of the fall?
If
October?
variances are necessary for
And
parking.
they probably will be.
No, they
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
necessary,
Yes.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Unless they can come up with all the
Because
spaces.
it's
That's
more than
not-
just the parking, unfortunately.
Right, there's that other little thing, which I don't understand.
It's,
It's that other 100-foot thing, which
correct.
I don't know if you can even explain that. But there's two variances. One is the parking, and the other is some 100-foot rule that is an arcane requirement that is in our code.
yeah.
And our code expert is Lucas.
But if they were to seek any solutions through the
That's fine.
landlord, I guess a quick question would be, would parking reconfiguration on site require a site plan review or a simple building department review?
I think probably building department review, if it's on site, it just has to probably be, well, I don't know the answer, but my guess would be that it's, if you're reconfiguring a parking lot that you own, you can't do it in a way that would create a hazard, but short of that, you could.
I don't know if configuration alone is going to be enough to avoid a
I
variance.
don't think it will be. No.
If a variance is necessary, you got to process. I mean, that's.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think
just so you understand, the parking requirement is 25 spaces.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the way the ordinance is written.
Yeah.
I mean,
Not gonna
I
happen.
realize that may not be the real need of the gym, but.
Yeah, but we all know how the zoning board of appeals works, and, they're not going to necessarily hold you to that if you're able to make an effective presentation. but-
I can tell you this. It seems to me, from my experience working with zoning and planning, that the reconfiguration of spots will make it much easier for the zoning board to grant a variance. The problem that you're going to face is a practical one in terms of scheduling and what the time is involved, because you still would have to go before them and still have to get a decision to come back here for your final approval. So, and I don't know if there's any way around that.
So I imagine we have to decide here if we're going to make a recommendation that we're okay with this and you can move forward to the zoning board tonight, or we're going to ask you to see what you could do about alleviating the parking a little bit, come back to us, and then we'll say, all right, you guys have made a good faith effort, you picked up some spots, you guys go see what you could do with the zoning board now. That's the way I see it.
What if, and I'm just throwing this out there, what if we had a condition on the approval and maybe a restriction on the space to say that there can only be X amount of people here to alleviate this kind of a variance? I mean, it's a very small space, 50 per square foot for a small space for something that is not a gym or a doctor's office is kind of harsh for this little tiny space if we have a restriction put
Yeah,
in
but
place.
we can't, how is that going to get policed? I mean, we just can't, yeah.
But why, I mean, to your point, if we know how many spaces were needed as an office, can't we just match those with his gym and say it's net
No,
zero?
No.
No.
No,
I mean,
because they changed
it's
the-
based off the zoning law. It's just more, less square footage, per spot, basically, based on the zoning law.
Right, it
But,
would end up being
the
less
zoning
spaces
board,
required.
if, once we get through our review tonight,
And based on the usage.
and if, right, if it moves on to the zoning board, then the zoning board will certainly take into consideration the type of use, specific use.
We can't, I think what we're
Right.
saying is, we can't pretend that this is not a gym and it's more like an office, even if we
Right.
believe that the ultimate usage is going to be more like the office. We can't create that fallacy. We have to abide by our rules, and the place to bring that argument up is before the zoning board.
Right.
Yes, in other municipalities, that's what we've gotten sometimes is restrictions or certain conditions that we have to apply by and maybe set up a yearly meeting with the building inspector to walk around to see what's going on. There's other avenues in
Yeah.
other municipalities
I
where
don't
we
know that
work
we
with
have those.
in similar situations like this.
I don't think we have those avenues. But even if you called it whatever you called it,
Yeah.
there's still going to be some necessity. I mean, I
Right.
think the difference is whether you can send it to zoning tonight or you're going to ask them to come back one more time. And even if the most expedited way to do this is for you to send it tonight to zoning, and in between tonight and the zoning board meeting for June, you speak to your landlord about some type of configuration that may minimize the amount of spots that you need for a variance. For instance, if the zoning law requires that you have 28 spots, and you get, an extra 6 spots based upon reconfiguration, and you make an application for a variance to say, the zoning law is what the law is, but this type of use is not gonna, and we could, do conditions, and we've also squeezed out another 6 spots, that would likely help the zoning board say, okay, this is something that we could grant a variance on. I just don't think they can do it.
It'll certainly put you in a better position.
It'll put you in a better
Yeah.
position, yeah. I just don't know if they can say yes in June. The best case scenario is they say there are 1 or 2 applications that require an approval, and we usually go until the fall. We're going to have a July meeting just for resolutions. Sometimes that has happened, but that's a decision that the chairman makes with the director of planning. So, but I'm just telling you, the best case scenario is they send it tonight, you're still potentially looking at a break over the summer. So, in terms of the process, that's all.
Right, it's moving out to the end of the year, towards the end of the year, September and October.
Would the board entertain maybe using a different, a parking use, like how we're saying, maybe use it as offices, since it's such a small space and what the gym type is?
We can't
No, we
pretend
can't.
it's something that it's not.
I
We
know,
just
if there
can't.
was
Yeah.
something else.
You also need another variance that we haven't even gotten to
Yeah,
yet.
so we just
I mean, this is
quickly-
a second
yeah,
variance
we're
that you
going-
can't avoid that's on this list,
We-
which is.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
going back to zoning
We
anyway,
can make
regardless.
exceptions on
Yeah.
the zoning law.
Yeah, because then everyone would,
Well, I didn't know if there was certain things in the code that said, except if there's this or that,
But I've been looking at this for weeks for you guys, trying to find some kind of loophole for you. I've been meeting with your realtor, I've been trying my best to try to find some way to expedite this, and everything has been a dead end. I want you to understand that I've been putting a lot of time into this,
We fully
trying to
understand and we
figure out
appreciate it.
some way for you guys to open sooner, and I've hit a dead end every single time. I've pleaded with our land use council, please come, can we do it this way? No. Can we do it this other way? No. I mean, this is it. I'm sorry.
No,
Yeah, based
we
on the-
appreciate all the work.
Right, based on the way it's written, there's only so much we can do. So should we go through all the requirements now?
We
or
have
is-
to, yeah. I mean, is there any more,
there's
if there's
some-
more public comment, we
Oh,
have to let people,
Yeah.
and then we'll go
okay.
through the list, I guess.
Are there any more public comments? No, okay. So,
We leave the hearing open, right?
yeah.
Yeah, the hearing stays open.
Do I have to make a motion? We're going to finish the comments and then we'll do it again. So,
Well, we have to do this while the hearing stays open, and then we can.
yeah, that's fine.
Actually, we have to leave the hearing open if we refer it. if you
Yes,
refer
that's
to
right,
it.
that's what I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
So there's a list of standards for for applications for special permits, because we'd like to run through them. Do you have it there?
I'm sorry?
So there's a list that we have in front of us for special permits for bout boxing, and it lists 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, a number of conditions for special permits, and we'd like you to address them with us tonight.
Can I get a copy? I don't have.
Yeah, of course, you haven't, you're going to have to do this on the fly.
I think we've sort of,
Well, bear with
I
me.
think
We
we've
probably
sort of
covered a
gotten
number of
through
them.
the first few, I think, sort of.
Anyone needs to replace, I have a,
Yeah, sure.
oh, that's Mickey's, sorry, that's the other one.
Appreciate it.
That's the other one.
Pass over, yeah.
This is Mickey's Balloons. This is bout boxing.
So where do we determine where to start? Which one?
Well, so we have to start with the general standards. So the first one is,
We kind of went through that, didn't we?
Well,
We
some
talked
of
about the
that.
whole, the gym, the location.
Noise,
yeah,
don't we have noise?
Kind of, you know, we
Okay.
kind of, I think we hit on that one. I think
So-
it'd be overkill to
So,
do it again.
okay.
Yeah.
So number one is
so then,
no, I guess, right?
Just read it.
Not.
right, well, I guess we have to read it into the record.
Yes.
Okay.
No,
I'll read it then.
Okay.
So I'm going to read verbatim what you have in front of you, and then we'll give a response, I guess, yay or nay on them, right? Or in work. So the first one is the location and size of the special permit use, the nature and intensity of the operations involved in it or conducted in connection with it, the size of the site in relation to it, and the location of the site with respect to streets giving access to it are such that they will be in harmony with the appropriate and orderly development and use of the area in which it is located.
Yes. Yes, we believe that it'll be in harmony with the surrounding stores and businesses around there.
I guess we just give their response, right? Whether we disagree or not.
Yeah.
Doesn't really matter. So the next one is the location, nature, and height of buildings, walls and fences, and the nature and extent of existing or
This is
proposed
not applicable.
Yeah,
plantings.
some of them
at
aren't
the site.
applicable.
This is-
Yeah.
And
We're not doing anything outside.
Yeah, some of them are not.
next one, operations connection with any special permit use will not be objectionable in any way to nearby properties for reasons of noise, traffic, fumes. I'm going to finish it, then you could say as you will. Vibration, other characteristics, then would be operations or permitted uses not requiring a special permit. Parking areas will be of adequate size for the particular special permit use, properly located, suitably screened from adjoining residential uses, and the entrance and the exit drive shall be laid out so as to achieve maximum convenience and safety.
So,
Some of this doesn't apply, like.
yeah, some doesn't apply, but, you know, as far as noise and anything else, you know, we'll be, that'll be fine. You know,
Yeah.
we'll
And
meet
and of
the
course,
code.
you know, the issue of
Parking
parking
is-
will be determined by
open,
the,
right.
by the zoning board of appeals.
It's NA and TBD.
Yeah.
I think sorry.
Go ahead.
I think what may be work to your advantage would be to issue a letter in response to all of these questions moving forward from this meeting.
Sure.
So this way we know how they are addressed and all the explanations involved.
Should we continue running through it
Yes.
now for the
I mean,
record?
well, unless you want them to come back and then,
Well, okay, stand by. We'll figure out if we're going to finish this. So if you are coming back, you can do as Louis said when you come back. So now it's up to us, guys, to figure out if we want them to explore options with their landlord and then come back, or if we want to just move it to the zoning board to make the decision.
So when potentially this does come back, we will still be reviewing under these standards, correct?
Reviewing what?
We will still be reviewing under these standards.
right,
So that would give us also an opportunity to stick, you know, to have eyes on this until it comes back to us.
To evaluate it. more
Right,
clearly.
so then at that point, if we're not comfortable with how it is responded to, we can have them come back at that point instead of holding them up from zoning. That may also be a way to expedite a little bit.
Well, just
Unless it doesn't work.
quickly looking through this list, there's only 1, 2, 3, about 4 things that apply
Unless that
to
doesn't work.
this space, which would be
does,
items
it does.
B, F, H, and J.
Yes,
We
I think
got
that's
two
right.
people
On the-
talking.
On the next page, there was a lot that doesn't apply, like,
Right.
there's no swimming pool.
Yeah, there's no swimming pools.
Yeah,
We
there's
don't
no
have any
landscaping.
arcades, there's no
Yeah, this
amplification,
is-
you know.
Yeah,
The
okay.
hours of operation are the
Yeah,
hours of
that's right.
operation,
So
you know.
I think most of these are either answered already,
Right.
or
Variances from the standards.
there is the variance for the parking that's required.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. If,
Yeah.
Here is that you have to go through these before you go to
Yeah.
zoning.
Yes.
And we're
Right,
not going to
because,
do that now.
because this, if they don't meet these standards, the zoning board can give them the variances from the standards.
So you see the direction this is going in? I think you answer these, come back, tell us what your answers are at the same time, see what you get out of your land board, hopefully come back with some spots. We'll nod our head and say, please go to zoning. That's what I'm, and if your landlord says no, I guess we'll figure out what to do then.
okay,
I think that's all we can do tonight. All right?
you understand what they were saying?
Right, this is part of the application
Because we have
process.
to go through
Yeah,
all this, and, you know, with Jimmy, we have to prepare a letter detailing all the information, because the zoning board won't be able to move forward without all this information from the planning board. Did I say
Right, I
that
mean,
correctly?
if this was done when you walked in, we'd be probably in the same spot, right? We probably, so you haven't really lost any time. Right, if you had this filled out and gave it to us, we'd probably still ask you to go back and talk to your landlord and see if you could get a few spots. Do whatever you have to, bribe, threaten.
I just want to check one thing in the submission package, because I remember Mr. Gibbons preparing a cover letter. I think that has some of the information that's being.
Oh, in this, that'll help with the response.
7th, so this was.
You mean the letter dated May 7th?
Yeah,
yeah, it does.
This does not address the special permit criteria.
yeah, okay.
In fact, this letter actually asks you to waive the variances acting outside of the purview of the planning board, saying.
Right.
Did we get this in our package? I know we,
Pardon?
did we get this in our package? Oh, I guess. I
Yeah, it
just
was in the
didn't read it.
package, but it's,
Okay.
yeah, it asks for
Yeah, keep it.
exemption from zoning law entirely,
Which we can't grant.
which we can't, yeah, your board can't do
I
that.
think he's saying I wouldn't wave that around if I were you. It's not helping your case. Sorry.
All right, so it sounds like, I mean, and I'm sorry to be the bearer of the blunt timing news. If you're going to have to come back to us next month, you're not going to get before the zoning board of appeals till September, and they hold it over 1 month, so you're going to have to go back to them in October. It's really not, I mean, the best you could do is to get there in June, and they'd make you come back in September. So it's really, you lose 1 month by having to come back to us. And then, as Lucas said, he's been trying his hardest to try to find a way to help you guys out here. I do think it behooves you to work with your landlord for all the reasons that we said, and see if you can't engage in a little self-help on the parking, because that's a big issue. It seems to me that, you're not going to disrupt the neighborhood in a horrible way due to the gym itself, which seems to have, built-in guards against, the type of activity that would cause neighbors to complain, or that would change negatively the entire neighborhood. That's unlikely to happen here, but, the one issue that we keep coming back to, and that it ties in with the very variance that you're going to have to get, is parking. And so anything you can do to help yourself in that regard is probably, it will help you obtain a more favorable response from the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Yeah, go ahead.
There was two things. There was the parking and then the other one.
Right, so the other one is pretty minor. It's just the way the zoning is written, the way the zoning law is written, it says, with respect to health and fitness facilities, it says, any facility shall be located at such distance from any lot line as the approving agency shall find to be necessary in a particular case, but in any event not less than 100 feet from any such lot line. So your storefront is on the lot line, so it needs to be set back 100 feet from the lot line. That's not happening.
Yeah.
So it would have to be another, this one is just more like almost, I don't know, like administrative.
Just
I mean, it's not
paperwork.
like, but it's just it's the way the law is written.
Yeah, you're not going to get hung up on that one.
Yeah, that one I wouldn't worry about.
That's a minor thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But understand that, you know, these, it's kind of a one-size-fits-all for a lot of these, and we have to go through them. We have to honor the system, because if we start waiving, and we're without the power to waive the zoning regulations, the zoning rules, if we did it for you, the next person would say, you did it for the gym, why not us? We're not special. So on the whole, you know, you may not be the right fit for a lot of these, and it may seem draconian, but there's a purpose behind it, and it's part of this town's, you know, very real concern to make sure that development is orderly and it's well thought through, and we're just a part of that process.
And that we ask you to explore any options to improve your application.
Yeah.
And that is, fortunately, there is an option here, so we can't just ignore it. We're going to ask you to at least search it out and see what you come back with. And then if you can't do anything, we'll figure out what to do then.
And you might have a real ally, or a couple of allies over here with Mr. Kramer, and, you know, in trying to find other solutions that really could help not only your application, but might help others in the area as well, so.
All right? Thank you. We'll see you next month. Have a nice evening, guys.
Good luck.
So do I have to make a motion to
No, the
keep this
public
open?
hearing stays open.
Yeah, so I don't have to make
Okay.
a motion, we're not going to do that? Cool. So then the last, yeah, the public hearing remains open, and we'll see you guys next month.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, you too.
Do we move to adjourn it? Is that, Rob, do we move to adjourn the hearing tonight? Yeah.
I don't know if you.
I don't know, we need to?
No, we're leaving it.
We haven't done it
The
for others.
last
I checked the
application
previous
is going to be
meetings, we
much
don't have to.
easier, and it's 23-19, Mickey Spillane's our favorite applicant, 429 White Plains Road. It's you.
Good evening, everybody. Mike Hines, representing Mickey's Plans here this evening. We are just going back to the special use permit for outdoor dining for the location that we had for the last number of years. I forget how many, long time. No, nothing new, same criteria, same stipulations, basically the same everything that we had in the past.
Okay.
Cool. So the table layout, that's the same one you came with last time, or the past 4 or 5 years?
Correct.
Okay.
Simple floor table out the front.
Yeah, I'd love to ask questions, but there's really none to be asked, right? I got nothing.
So it's an existing condition, you're just continuing that existing use?
Correct. Sorry, that is correct.
We haven't had any issues with enforcement on the space or anything, have we?
With enforcement?
Noise, crowds, partying
Not
to
that
the wee
I'm
hours in the
aware of.
morning, nothing
I
like
mean-
that, right?
I would tell you, I would be the one that would be prosecuting those, and we have not seen any issues. I don't know, you know, if there's been issues that the police have kind of issued summonses for, but even those, I think, would come to me, and there have not been any issues with regarding the special permit for outdoor
Yeah, it
dining
wouldn't
over
be
there, as
that,
far as
right?
I know.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be about the people eating dinner outside, if there were any.
Yeah.
The only thing is I ran your application by the highway department, the police department, and the fire department, and the highway and police had no comments. The fire department said that you would need to keep a 3-foot wide path open to the fire department connection. To his recollection, it was located adjacent to the south exit door.
Correct. Yeah, correct and right. And that's I can show you that. Yeah, that's right here in this area.
Okay.
Got it.
Okay.
And I assume you have a 3-foot
So that's
open
3
area,
feet.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And also the clearance between the planters and the tables. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Correct.
And that's actually to the property line, so there's sidewalk beyond that as well.
That is correct.
Right.
The tables remain on our property.
Right.
Got it.
Do not encroach on the town property.
So does that mean that table at the bottom there is, really has to be shifted, or can you just point out which the tables, can you just point out which the tables are in that? I honestly just can't see from here, or, oh, that's good, Gary, thank you.
Yeah, there you go. So the planters are up by the property line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The property line is exactly this line here,
Right,
and the tables are back, keeping the 3 feet for the means of egress for both fire exits.
Right.
so what's the other, oh, those are like planters?
Correct.
Yeah, and I
Right.
believe there's sidewalk in front of the planters, but sidewalk between the planters and the street.
Right.
Right.
So I guess that one planter is sort of blocking the path to the fire? The one,
Which planter?
No.
the bottom left?
This one here?
Yeah, that's a table, that's a planter. And what's to the left of what, yeah, what's that?
No, because there's 8 feet between this and the door.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. We're good. All right, let's just do a public hearing, and then we'll let you go home. So I make a motion to open the public hearing on this application, 23-19, Mickey Spillane's, 429 White Plains Road.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No comment? You're here. Seems like you like it here. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Kramer's going to find you some parking.
We love outside dining, we love Mickey's Plains, I wish you the very best. I just have to say that on Birth Road, we're having some concerns regarding outdoor dining at some of our restaurants.
Oh, the mic is off there.
Oh, yeah, could you just
The mic is off.
click the
Okay,
mic?
it's on now? Yeah.
Barry Kramer, Garth Road. We love Mickey's Plains, we love the dining at Mickey's Plains, so certainly no objection to this application. It's just more curiosity. I know up on Garth Road, there are a number of restaurants that have been trying to secure permission for their outdoor dining, which has existed for the past few years. And only recently it's become more of an issue, and I am hoping that this board, as will others in the town of Eastchester, will consider favorably Garth Road dining on Garth Road as well.
I know we've done so. We've approved at least one that I recall a few months ago, and
I don't know the details
Well,
involved.
yeah, the issue
They're a
is,
little bit different than this one, though,
yeah,
obviously.
the issue is that the outdoor dining needs to be on property that the applicant owns, not
Yes.
in the street right-of-way that the town owns. So in this case, with this application, the applicant has documented that these chairs and tables will be put on property that they own, not the street right-of-way.
And I was beginning to get an understanding of that as I was listening to the meeting. So I would just, again, I understand that you have more property than the restaurants on Garth Road. But again, I do hope that even though that might require a variance or some other concessions, we do hope that you will also consider favorably outdoor dining on Garth Road, since it's great for the community. It's what's really very popular in other locations besides just Eastchester and, Mamaroneck and White Plains and all over. Everyone has outside dining. I understand that sometimes it's a little difficult to walk by the tables. I understand that, but it really is a great asset to the community.
Thank you.
So, but again, no comment specifically on your application. I look forward to coming over and having a burger.
Okay, excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the kind words.
So let me just finish this public hearing thing. There's no more comments, so I make a motion to close the public hearing on,
Just for the record, the applicant did submit responses
Oh, yeah,
to the,
you're right.
to the
This.
special permit
Right.
standard. So these will be entered and these will be in the
oh,
public
good
record.
point, you made this
Right.
up.
Yeah.
Okay,
But staff has reviewed them and they
yes,
comply.
thank you. You have them. And then, so I can close the public hearing on Make a motion to close the public hearing on 2319 Mickey Spillane's.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So then we just, what do? We just grant the, where's my cheat
Yep.
sheet here? Yep, hold on, I got it here somewhere. There are no conditions. Okay, so we just approve the application. Is it the application or the request for a special permit application?
It's an application
The
for,
application is for a special
This is
permit.
for a special permit.
Right.
Right.
Right, so it's a special permit. Gotcha. So I make a motion to approve application 2319, Mickey Spillane's, 429 White Plains Road, for a special permit application for outdoor dining.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You're good to go. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Always a pleasure.
Good luck.
All right.
So then I make a motion to adjourn the May 25th, 2023 Planning Board meeting. Next meeting is June 22nd, 2023.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night.
Right.